I am Sarah Hajar. I work for ECPM, Together Against the Death Penalty, so a French NGO who is organizing the 8th World Congress Against the Death Penalty, which will take place in Berlin in November, from 14 to 18 November. And in the framework of the Congress, we organize the Death Penalty Focus, and this film is part of the focus. So we are very pleased to welcome tonight the producers of the film, so Kaveh, Farnam, and Farzad. Welcome. We welcome also Raha Bahreini, a researcher on Iran from Amnesty International and a human rights lawyer here. Welcome. We welcome Shole Pakravan, mother of Reyhane Jabbari, who was sentenced and executed in Iran in 2014. And she is one of the most active activists for the abolition of the death penalty in Iran. Welcome. And last but not least, the Raphaël Chenuil-Hazan, Executive Director of ECPM, Ensemble contre la peine de mort, and board member of the coalition Impact Iran, which is a coalition of 17 NGOs. So good evening, everyone. Can we start maybe with a... Yes, of course, yes. Of course, thank you. So maybe we can start with a word about Mohammad Rasulov and his situation at the moment. As you might be aware that he is imprisoned in Iran at the moment. Would you like us to tell us a word about his current situation?
Thank you so much for watching the film. Mohammed has been arrested around 103 days ago. They attacked to his home. As we know, around 15 people they attacked to his home, and he arrested. It was we think that it was a plan that because they immediately announced his arrestment and they want to bring some first to Iranian independent cinema maker. At the same time, they arrest another colleague, Mustafa Al-Ahmad. The day after they arrest the Jafar Panahi, the famous Iranian filmmaker, and it was continued. They arrest Mohsen Amir Yousefi, Majid Barzegar, Mujtaba Mir Tahmaz, and this wave is continuing. At the moment, Mohammad Rasulov is in Evin prison with Jafar Panahi. Jafar has 6 years sentence from around 15 years ago, and they hold this sentence, and finally they started. And Mohammed has 1 year for attending in some protest in the green movement that we say, and another 1 year for making the film A Man of Integrity. And now he's waiting for the new sentence and verdict for 3 major points that they raise. One is making this film. One is we had a statement, Iranian filmmaker, around 4 months ago after the things happened in Khuzestan in Iran. Maybe you hear about that. We had a statement and we hashtagged it, "Put your gun down." It was a call for Iranian military forces to do not shoot against Iranian people. And there are something that, and there was another film about the murder and death of one of our filmmaker and the good colleagues, Baktash Abtin, that they arrest him, and about a year ago they killed him in the jail.
I would like to know what motivated you to produce this film and to take the risks of producing another film of Mohammad Rasulov, which you have already produced a film.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. And well, I think maybe this is a good example. This film, I think it's a result of the unity the team had in this film, and we are just presenting an amazing cast and crew we had, who decided to help Mohammad to make his film.
Illegally.
yes, the film was made underground, and we decided to help Muhammad to make his film because we believe that it's his right to make the film, and no one can prevent an artist to be creative. So this was the main motivation for us to make this film. Everybody, we were very honest with the people, and they collaborated, and they came and they took the risk, and this is why what you're seeing here is the result of this unity and empathy. And I think what is going on now in Iran scene is a similar situation, the unity between the people against the totalitarian structure.
Yes. Thank you. Maybe a question for Raha about the situation of the death penalty in Iran. As you would say, death penalty destroys and brutalizes society. Death penalty is obviously a tool of repression to prevent people from freedom of speech, from demonstrations. Iran is the second country that executes most in the world, and the country that executes most juvenile in the world also. Can you please tell us more about the situation in Iran?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for producing this powerful film. The situation of the death penalty in Iran has long been horrific. Iran is the second largest executioner in the world after China. It imposes the death penalty for activities that should not even be criminalized, let alone punished by the death penalty. It is also one of the last countries in the world that continues to execute people who were under the age of 18, in other words, a child at the time of the crime. The authorities disproportionately use the death penalty against oppressed ethnic and religious minorities. They also use the death penalty increasingly as a tool of repression in order to create intimidation and fear within the society and to crack down on protest. As we speak, many courageous men, women, and children are being killed in Iran or otherwise injured by security forces who fire live ammunition and metal pellets at protesters and bystanders. The crackdown has already left over 150 men, women, and children dead and hundreds more injured. Mass arrest of artists, journalists, writers, labor rights activists, women's rights defenders have been carried out, and many of them are now held in detention centers and prisons that are notorious for torture and other ill treatment. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage everyone to please sign the petition of Amnesty International that is addressed to governments, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Germany for the petition in Germany, as well as similar petitions on the websites of other Amnesty offices around the world. We are asking all governments to take urgent action before there is further bloodshed in Iran, and to convene a special session at the UN Human Rights Council and take meaningful measures to ensure that there is accountability for these unlawful killings, mass torture, and other ill treatment. On behalf of Amnesty International, I also would like to express our solidarity with Mohammad Rasulov and other filmmakers who are unjustly imprisoned in Iran, and with the entire community of artists and film producers. And we encourage all of you to write to the the Islamic Republic Embassy and call for his immediate and unconditional release. Rest assured that these calls are registered by the Islamic Republic authorities and can lead to release or at least improvement in detention conditions. Just also a few quick words about the power of his movie. I think for me, this movie shows how frightening it is when killings turn into a manner of habits for many in the country, and how humans and state agents have been transformed into cogs of a state machinery of killing. In the most powerful way, the movie has managed to pose this serious question about what happens to the faculty of human judgment and ethical decision making when it's subjected to a system that accustoms people to brutality and killings and forces them in numerous ways to take part in this brutality on a daily basis. I think also in a courageous way it shows that people in Iran live in a context that's painted with horror and ethical failure. The horror of a state that kills people on such a staggering scale and wages brutal assault on the right to life, and the ethical failure of agents who are prepared to tolerate, and ordinary members of the public who are prepared to tolerate injustice and brutality, or even worse, perpetuate torture and slaughter on a daily basis. It encourages people to say no and to stand up against injustice, and this is fortunately a moment in Iran that people are actually standing up to justice and saying no to the powers that want to crush the spirit of resistance and that want to crush consciousness and ethical decision making. The courageousness that we now see in the streets in Iran is rooted in this ethical vision that people want to have for the future of Iran, a future without repression, a future without injustice. They are claiming their rights for dignity and for an ordinary life that would not be painted with such horrors and killings on a daily basis. It's very important if for this movement to succeed that the international community and ordinary members of the society also join this effort. A lot of energy and inspiration is needed. People are showing this activism and this courage in the street. They do not let the authorities to continue lying and to crush their spirit of resistance, but they also need more energy and inspiration from the outside world in order to be able to continue. So we urge you to do whatever you can to talk to your government, to talk to your members of parliament, and ask them what they can do or what they are doing when reports of killings and mass torture and imprisonment are published by Amnesty International or other human rights defenders, and also a stage protest in front of the Islamic Republic Embassy, bombard them with calls and emails and letters and ask them to stop the bloodshed. And the people in Iran need this level of aspiration. In these days, people ask us like what hope there is for Iran. Well, people are changing the meaning of hope at the moment by taking action. And for this hope to continue, it's important that globally action is also taken. Thank you very much for attending the event and for hearing our message.
Thank you. Talking about taking actions and being part of the chain to stop the death penalty, maybe we can talk a little bit about your fight, Shole, and about how committed you have been since the tragedy. Would you like to tell us a few words about your daily fight for the abolition of the death penalty in Iran?
Yeah. Hi, everyone, and thank you for being here. At first, I must tell you all, I can't good speak English or Deutsch. So I tried the best. Yes, death penalty, execution is pure violence and endless violence. Do you know, I have some experience. For example, I had the last meeting with my daughter. My nice, pretty, and safe body of my daughter comes to that room, and I and my husband, my daughters, and my parents and my sister must tell her goodbye forever. This pain, endless, never finished that. And I was waiting all night in dark and cold to come some news from inside of prison, my daughter is executed or not. I passed that, not imagine. I have this horrible experience. And after that, every day I begging to God, please God, kill me. I don't want this life. Because the endless pain make my body, my soul full of suffering. So one of the mothers who lost her son by shooting in his head comes to me. And she said, Shole, come with me. I want you meet another woman. And together we went in one meeting with a very old woman. She lost 6 children by execution and by shooting in several days before. And when I go back to home, all of way I thought with myself, Shole, maybe you have a long life, same this woman. Do you want the remain of your life every night, every day, beg to God and say, kill me? Stand up and do something. And after that, little by little, step by step, I met near 100 family who lost their children. And when I spoke with them, I found one mother who lost 30 years before one children have bad dreams, same me, as a new mother in this fire. So this suffering is not disappeared by past time. For this reason, I say endless violence. And after that, I spoke with 2 men who Rasulov showed here. I spoke with one man who retired. He was working in Evin prison, and when my daughter was in Evin, we met him too. He was a guard. And after retiring, he told me, I thought this is my job, and that's not my fault. If some mistake happened, I am not guilty. But now, after 30 years working and execution by shooting and stoning and with rope, I retired. And now I wish I was thief, or I was beg and said, please give me 1 piece bread and don't use that bloody bread to me and my family. And another person was a young man who in soldiers' time, 2 years, in Iran, all young men must go to army service 2 years. And he executed 15 persons in prison, same this young man. And he must take a lot of pills for antidepressant and the other pills. and he had no nail because chewing his nail, and he can't marry because his nightmare اجازه نمیداد میشه چی؟ Let him to has connection with woman, with his fiancé or girlfriend. And do you know and understand when I say endless violence, what means? Execution is this. That's bad for family. That's bad for guards. That's bad for everyone, for society. And just this pain finished for that prisoner who killed and buried and finished every pain. But for other innocent people, it comes this pain and punishment until the last briefing. I hope you, all of you, one by one, can do something, even one little thing. Do action, one little action, and help the people in Iran. Now there is a revolution. They are the young people make a revolution, and a big group of them arrested, and they are foods for machine of execution. Please help them. Thank you.
Thank you, Shole. So while talking about helping and again taking action, maybe we can have a word about what does Impact Iran do on the floor in Iran, and what do you think is the new challenges?
Oh, it's very difficult to talk after Shole. Huh? Very difficult. Maybe the only thing I can say, worldwide, everywhere where you have dictatorship, and especially in Iran, they are afraid, dictators are afraid by artists. Because especially the issue of the death penalty is a great subject for stories, and to make you understand what is the reality behind the common sense of the large public about the death penalty, about revenge, about justice. Sometimes you have to feel things, and to feel things you need testimonies like Shole's testimonies, but she cannot give a testimony to everybody. It's complicated. And you need artists. And in the movie you just have seen with Mohammad Rasulov, it was very interesting because it was talking about death penalty, of course, in the 4 different scenes, but it was talking about choice. And one of the characters say that you have the choice to say yes or to say no. And actually, this is what dictatorship hates, the choice. They never want to give the choice to their people or to the citizens. And they try to express the idea that there is no choice. This is law. This is a system. This is Sharia law. This is, and that's why we try, as human rights organizations. So I'm the executive director of a worldwide organization who works on the fight against death penalty, ECPM, and I'm as well member of a networks of organizations who focus on Iran, called Impact Iran. So ECPM, for example, published a report on the situation of death penalty in Iran, as well with Amnesty. We try, it's always important to give transparency. Dictators hate to give the choice to people, and what do they need? They need to know transparency. And artists like Mohammad Rasulov are their worst enemies, because during the 2 hours you spend in this room, you feel in your body what is the death penalty, and you felt in your body as well what is living in a non-democratic country, in a country where your choice you can kill or not kill as a simple citizen. We just, Sarah just mentioned it, but next month we are going to organize the next World Congress against death penalty, who will take place here in Berlin. And it's a completely open, free forum. And you are invited, you with your friend, just to understand what is the death penalty worldwide, in Iran, in China, in the US or in Africa, and what can be done from your side or from the international side. So I invite you to register or to have information online on our website, ecpm.org, or our social networks. And thank you, Shole, for your testimony, because I think it's very, very powerful.
Yes, it is. Thank you. So, as you mentioned, Shole, we are witnessing the rise of a new revolution at the moment. It has been a few months now. The question that I would have, and then we will take questions from you as well. Why now? Iran has been, the regime has been totalitarian for decades. And what has happened since September 16, especially, since the murder and, well, the murder of Gina Mahsa Amini. What happened? Why is it happening now? And why women are taking action now? Why not before? What is your interpretation?
You ask me?
Anybody who would like to reply.
Yeah. As I know, our regime, Iran regime, based on fear, afraid of regime. People must afraid of them. And based on execution. And especially against women. They they can push one woman with hair. My daughter, when was under torture, that's torture for me when I tell you. But she wrote, when the torture man pushed me, pull me, ziehen, yeah? By my hair, I found that long hair is dangerous for women because that is a tool for torture. And now, Mahsa Amini and the other young woman, for example, Hadis, Nika, Ghazaleh, Sarina, and a lot of people who we don't know them, killed in streets of Iran. Now, new generation decided to change their situation. New generation is not same my generation. We used to and learn to be silent. But new generation learned that in social media, in internet, that fighting for their desire. And they started to shouting, to say, I don't want this hijab, for example, or these laws, or this government order. And of course, mullah's regime are so old, so ancient, not old, so ancient. It comes from Berberia time. So they can't accept, oh, some young women comes to street without hijab and they laugh to us. So they shoot them. And when I told you they arrested the young people in streets, what happened for them? When our regime, Iran regime, based on execution, you can imagine what happened in future. They kill Gina or Mahsa Amini by beating to her head. And the other women, they shoot with gun to head and heart. You can't understand because you are not in dictator regime. You are not under this model regime. You have not this model laws. And they will make big courts and use one law, knowledge of judge. A lot of court judge just 10 minutes, watched to the prisoner and said, no, you are guilty and you are on sentenced death penalty. In 10 minutes, now, in 21st century, in this world, we are living in Iran under, I don't know, stone time regime. So please help the young people in Tehran and other cities in Iran. They decided.
Does anybody has any question in the audience? I can't see well. I see a question.
Can you go back to Iran, or do you feel safe there and have to hide, or are yourself like in danger when you're there? Yeah. Because of the regime.
No. When I escaped from Iran, I was with one of my daughters. He was ill, and we escaped. And the government took my daughter and my husband's passport. And in Corona site, in Corona time, all of embassy geschlossen, closed in Tehran. And they gave my daughter's passport. And somebody from foreign minister in Germany helped us to make a visum behind of doors and walls for my daughter. And when my daughter escaped after 3 years, more than 3 years, they investigate my husband. How your daughter escaped from Iran? And my husband answered, you know, illegal, and with airplane, you can arrest her same before, because one time before, the first year, she once comes here, but in airport, they arrested and took her passport. And they said to my husband, you must be here for all your time, all your life. My husband has not passport. And after this long time, we are separate and have distance between us, me and my husband. We have a very cold connection, because my problem in Deutschland is is not same with his problem in Iran. And shred by shred, we spoke less and less. Can you imagine that? My husband is alone there. No father, no mother, no wife, and no children. He has just one grab. Sometimes he goes to Behesht Zahra, Friedhof, and speak with his dead daughter. You can find our situation. No, I can't go back. And every day I wish and beg to God, oh, that's so good if revolution will victory, and I support. Immediately I will go back to my Heimatland.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending. I think we have to end now, although I know there are... Can I take one more question? Yes. Okay. Okay, there's another screening coming, so we can continue the conversation outside. Thank you very much. I'm super honored, and it's a privilege to have you with us. And we hope to see you at the Congress, 14-18 November. Thank you.